talk to me a little bit about assisted dying with MAID. It's what,
Medical aid in dying, yeah,
yeah.
MAID. So
Is
it's
that
only
is
legal in 10 states and the District of Columbia. It's not legal federally. It is legal in my state. I remember when it went to vote, I was a fairly new hospice nurse at that time, and I voted for it in my state. And every
Mhm.
hospice nurse I know voted for it. As much as we love to say, oh, hospice provides lots of dignity for people at the end of their life, we also understand that sometimes there are situations that we can't we can't do anything about it. Existential suffering, probably the main thing, where people can have their physical symptoms managed, but they're suffering existentially and they just want to check out. And I'm all for it. I wish it was federally legal. I think it should be federally legal and I think it should be accessible. But basically, it's allowing a person who meets certain criteria, that they are terminal and that they have a life expectancy of 6 months or less, can receive a prescription that will end their life safely.
Mhm.
And when people don't have access to that, then they will often take matters into their own hands. And that is tragic because they don't always die. And there are fates worse than death.
Yeah,
And if they do die, it's traumatic for the family. It's traumatic for any staff who has found them. If they're in a facility, and we had a
of
patient who
course.
hung himself in a bathroom in a hospital, that was horrible. We've had murder suicides where the patient murdered their spouse and then themselves killed
Mhm.
themselves. So there are situations that could be avoided if they were able to access medical aid in dying.
And how is it administered? Is it through IV? Is it something orally that you take?
It's oral.
Uh-huh.
It can be given through a rectal tube or a peg tube, a stomach tube.
Uh-huh.
The person has to self-administer,
Right.
so it's never IV. In Canada, it's IV, and the physicians can administer it. In the United States, it is only able to be self-administered. The person has to be able to take it themselves. The real bummer about that is there are people who can't do that. There are some limitations to medical aid in dying that are really unfortunate. Somebody with dementia cannot qualify for medical aid in dying because when they're within the 6 months of the end of their life, they are not able to be determined to be competent, which is also a requirement. They're not able to self-administer the medication. So people who have dementia, then they might resort to the voluntary stop eating and drinking. So
And
there are limitations.
and from the moment that they take the medication, how long normally is that process before they pass?
It depends. They can die within minutes or they can die within
Oh,
hours
so
or a
it's
day.
okay.
So it can take a while sometimes. Everybody's different. It's kind of like a natural death. It's different for everyone.
Yeah.